So we are rolling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. So today we've got a very special guest. We've got Jaques Isdra, who's from Brazil. He's one of the assistant coaches at Barry University in Miami, Florida. And today is going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to talk about, obviously international experience, coming to the US, mostly about football coaches. I think the audience is really enjoying getting useful information out of this. So how do I get offers, or what should I be doing, or how do I put myself ahead of other people? That's always what we're trying to do, is educate, and make it easy for you guys to understand what you should be doing to get to the next level. So without further ado, Jaques, appreciate you joining us today. Who are you? What's your story? Why are you here?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I've been watching the show. I'm a really fan. It's a very nice what you do here. I think it helps the sport to grow, and I think it's really important. I wish we could have even more of that. And congratulations on what you do.
Thank you.
Actually, yes, I work with soccer. I'm a head coach of two teams at PSG as well, and assistant coach at Barry. But I've been as a Brazilian, I've been around soccer for my entire life since I can remember things. I remember doing soccer with friends and all the time, and father, and things like that. It's in Brazil, the culture is really, really high on soccer, really big on soccer. So yeah, that's I think we have that in common.
Yeah, awesome. No, I'm excited to talk to you because a lot of the internationals that I usually speak to are from Europe. So there's a lot of Europe, but obviously South America is completely different culture to Europe, to North America, So my question to you first off would be from kind of being a coach in Brazil, or not even just as a coach, just in football, how would you explain the differences between kind of American soccer culture and Brazilian soccer culture? What is Brazilian soccer culture?
Yeah, that's it's hard to make a summary, to resume it really quick. I would say that in Brazil, soccer, it's sometimes a way out. People try their best to make it, and they all have the aspiring point of making it to the very best and make a lot of money. That's what everybody believes on. But we know it's only the tip of the iceberg. It's only the very few lucky ones that make it. And the problem is that soccer over there, if you're not in that stage, there is not much money, not much incentive and things like that. And so many people doing it. So you got a lot of competitiveness over there at this scenario, and very few spots. So it's very hard to make it. But in everything in life, if you try hard enough, you're probably gonna end up in a much higher point than where you started.
Absolutely. No, that's good advice. I mean, so what's your background in soccer? You played? Did you try and be professional? Did you always want to coach? What's your story?
No, I played. Everybody plays in Brazil. You have to play. We have a very big culture for the futsal. And I truly believe that helped so much for us to have very technical players and individualist players, I don't know, like Vini Jr. or Neymar, people that get a ball and do magic out of that. Because in a futsal, you play 5v5, you have the ball most of the time, and it's really easier for you to start a game. You don't need 22 players or something like that, and that's a nice beginning. And in Brazil, it's most academies have a futsal until 12. Some goes until 14, and from 12 to 14 alternating a little bit. But I did the whole futsal academy. I basically was much bigger. I was an early grower, so I had a lot of easy time playing up to those points. Then when it was time to make the transition, it kind of the other guys caught me, and the competitiveness was so big that you eventually figure out am I doing it? If I am, I have to drop everything to make it. and to really focus. And that was not for me. But I always enjoyed coaching. From like 15 on, I started like playing only like pickup games and barrios and things like those with friends, which in Brazil it happens every day, sometimes twice a day. You know how it is, I'm sure. And eventually I decided that how can I make a even bigger impact in the game. And from like a friends team, I started, let me coach the team and things like that. And it started out as fun, as a hobby. But once me and my wife realized we want to move down here, I understood that it's so hard for you to be an immigrant in a different country. And if people have two papers, two resumes in front of them, one is American and one is Brazilian, they probably go for the American one because the person knows the language so well, he knows the culture, has been here around. It's so much easier. You don't have to go through adaptations or anything. So I start thinking, where can I go? Which areas can I go that for me to be a Brazilian would make me more valorized, more valuable for the companies instead of less. And I thought a lot of things, and soccer was one of those things that I always loved. And from that moment on, I said, hey, okay, I'm going to start preparing. And I started preparing really hard with a lot of courses. I joined a professional club. I started from the bottom, and I keep advancing steps until the point I was already very big in that club. Time goes by, and I was already happy where I was. Then our visas came because we started applying eventually after my children were born. Our visas came, and we said, like, what we're going to do? We're happy now. We're okay to be here. I'm at a comfortable position at a very, very good club. My hometown has two World Cup champions, club World Cup champions. So it's very big on soccer. It's very hard for a city to have two. It's hard to have one World Cup champion. So imagine twice for South America. It has to breathe soccer. It's very competitive. So I was in a state that soccer is big with a lot of incentives and things like that. And I was in a club that was a state champion. Against those two teams, I was not on those two teams yet. So it was like very, very good club to be, like probably third or fourth best club in the state, which is 8 million people, something around that. So not a small state. And then pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, nobody knew what was going to happen. And the clubs called everyone and said, hey, because we don't know what's going to happen, we're going to have to close the doors. We don't know when we're coming back. If we're coming back, what's going to happen with the world? So they fired all of us with the promise of hiring us back as soon as things normalize itself again. I talked to my wife and said, hey, I think it's a sign. Let's go to America. The visa has just arrived, and we packed baggage and we came here.
Yeah, right. No, that's a really interesting story. That's awesome. So was there, like, why did you want to come to the US? Was it just a challenge? Was it just a higher level? Was it just something new? Why did you want to come here?
Basically because my wife wanted to come here. Yeah. Happy wife. But we started to watch how Brazil was developing and dislike quite a few things, especially about like violence and criminality and things like that you don't know if you're going back home at night or things like that. And we said, where's the best place to raise our children? Because it's the most important thing for us. and eventually we decided that America, it was a very good place to do that. And because soccer was getting bigger, I could join in an early stage. And things went aligning that way very, very easily.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because there's a lot of like, I speak to a lot of my friends, for example, after they graduate college, they do the OPT, like the 1-year working visa, and then it's like so hard to get sponsored to get a visa to stay in the US. And I mean, I'm pretty fortunate because I have dual citizenship, so I haven't really had experience that, but all my friends that are international, they feel like it's so hard to be an immigrant in the US because you don't know what's going to happen next year, you don't know what's going to happen the next 6 months, the visa, the paperwork at your company, like you're kind of replaceable, you know, after you graduate college in that 1 year of learning. Is Miami a good place for, and I just wanted to ask you because that's interesting, because like, for example, if you're in New York City, maybe it's easy because there's a lot of culture, but if you're in a small town in North Carolina, Ohio, Kansas, did you pick Miami because you felt like there was a big cultural population here? Yes,
the weather helped a little bit. I'm not going to lie. You know, everybody comes to Miami because of the weather. I'm a very cold guy, as you can tell. Yeah. I didn't want to go to a very cold place, so that started limiting the options. Yes, the immigration part of Miami, which is from now on, people don't even speak English here anymore.
I know.
So we've got like a miscellaneous, like a cosmopolitan town with everybody's an immigrant. So that helps a lot to make you feel comfortable. Yeah. Also, there are like a lot of Brazilians down here where you can start friendships and things that you miss a little bit from Brazil, you can help with.
Yeah, with for sure. Interesting. Okay, good. And then in terms of your like coaching career, I think you said in Brazil, like you started from the bottom and you had to work your way up. So how was that process? Like, did you have a lot of badges to do, a lot of qualifications? In Brazil, do you have to have a lot of licenses, or do you just have to win to get up? How do you in Brazil go from the bottom to the top?
If you gotta work hard, be competent, and be lucky as well, you know. But in soccer, there is a lot of networking. So if you find the right people, not only in Brazil, that's for all around the world. If you find the right people, things will start happening your way. You show up, you do the work, you try to get better and better and better, and in Brazil, things works as a ladder, you know. As soon as there is a new spot, the next guy goes up, the next guy goes up. And so if you stay long enough at a place, eventually things will start working your way.
Interesting. And then have you noticed any differences since you've come to the US in terms of the coaching styles?
Yes, a lot. Because in Brazil, we have like people playing since they are kids for their entire life, and they have their ball. They are, even if they are not playing, they are still playing at home and kicking ball around and breaking things at home and stuff like that. We develop technical players very easily. So we don't really have to worry a lot at that area, which I see it's a huge area taking in consideration over here in US, maybe in Europe as well. I'm not sure. And over there, as coaches, we take more approaches to the tactical stuff, to the tactical part, and how to make those talents to play together and to play in a team. That's the most important part for us. I think here we have a very big eye for individuals, for people playing as players.
Yeah. I can't agree more with that. Every time I speak to an international person that's in the US, it's like the IQ level of American youth soccer players is just not at the level. Like, they're so focused on going to the field and doing a private session with touches, through cones, kicking the ball against the wall, but they don't understand, like, to check their shoulder, to be in the space, to defend the space, not the man. Like, tactically, they're just not at the level. So for you as a coach that's coaching at the youth American level, how do you instill that in players? How do you get them tactically to be aware?
Me personally, because I have the Brazilian background, I believe that the game teaches you the most. You have to be playing the game at least once a week, maybe twice. 30 years back, people used to do like professional coaches used to do like just scrimmage and barbecues. That's used to be the. I'm not saying that's how you're supposed to do it as well, of course, but I think that what I see the most is people taking away the scrimmage part, which is to me the most important. That's where they're going to learn if the things that they are practicing work or not, and how they can make it better, and where do they need to get better to solve the problems, and which problems will present itself. And of course that the coaches, they can speed that process by interacting, by saying, hey, did you check your shoulder? What happened? And things like that, and correct sometimes macro, sometimes tinily, sometimes one word is enough to correct, but they need to be playing. And as you mentioned, if they are focused on the technical part, on the individual stuff, they are not going to get better in the game. They're going to get better in the technical part. And then they need to apply that technical part to the game. So there is a transition there. I like telling the parents of my athletes or even the athletes, one thing is to bounce a basketball, and it's very easy. Another thing to you is to send a message to your girlfriend and say, I'm sorry about last night, things like that. But for you to send the message, I'm sorry about last night, while bouncing the ball, it's a totally different stuff. You can do this one perfectly, you can do this one perfectly, but in the game, you're going to have to do both of them at the same time. All right, if your technical part is really sharp, that you don't have to focus at all at bouncing, great, okay? Then you can focus on thinking, all right? But you also need to focus tactically on what is the best. And not only what to do, but how to do it the best way. For that, you need previous knowledge. So that's why I mentioned that the game is the most important part. Because if I'm practicing to bounce a ball, I'm going to get really good at bouncing the ball. And turns out, life will present itself, and I'm going to have to text my girlfriend, and I'm going to fail.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a really good analogy, though. It makes sense, because it's like when the players are going to the field and they're practicing dribbling through the cones, but they're not practicing dribbling through the cones with the man on in a real game scenario. You know, it's completely different. So
some coaches, they forget to put the pressure on. The pressure factor, the mental factor. There are 4 very important pillars in soccer, which is technically the technical pillar, the physical pillar, the tactical pillar, and the mental pillar. You know, if you take the mental pillar away, when they feel the pressure, they are not going to perform. And it's really hard for you to practice the mental part without games. That's why small-sided games are so big everywhere, because you add this pressure part and you start coaching the game as it is, although it is a part of it. The important thing, let me try to explain a little bit. There is like the cake theory, okay? The whole game, it's a whole cake, all right? So what we want to do is that, okay, the scrimmage is the whole cake. Sometimes we don't want to work on the whole cake because there are some parts that are more important or need more attention than others. So we take a slice of that cake and we do exactly how that slice is, and that's what we practice, all right? When I see people doing just the technical part or just the physical part, they are not having the cake, they are not having the slice of the cake. It's like they are having flour and eggs. You know, you're not going to eat that. You know, If you ask me for a cake, I'm not going to bring it to you milk, flour, sugar. I'm going to give you a slice, because that slice, it's what you're going to consume. So if I take away some important elements of the game, eventually you're gonna miss it when the time comes to perform.
Interesting. So what would you say to someone who doesn't agree with that, who says, yeah, okay, but like a coach is doing just the game, and they're not focusing specifically on like playing out from the back or attacking patterns? Like a coach might tell you, yeah, we can do scrimmages, but I don't want to do scrimmages. I just want to focus on building out from the back patterns of play. Is it a mix of both, or?
Yeah, like it's a mix of both. I would say that the scrimmage is the whole cake. The building out from the back is the slice.
Got it.
You understand? You got to find a way of taking that part of the game and practicing and making a game out of that, to put the mental part on it and to make it challengeable, so people have to solve their problems, but respecting the rules of the game as well, you know? Okay, so we're working on building out. Okay, there is going to be no opposition. All right, you can start that way. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? But eventually people will need to face the problems that they are going to face in the game, so they can start working on the answers. You can present them the answers. You can practice the solutions with them and make them comfortable. But eventually they're going to have to apply it, and they're not going to get good applying that until they start applying that. Mm-hmm. So those parts are exactly the slice, and it's awesome to work on those parts and to focus on. Today I'm gonna focus on build up, like you mentioned, or I might focus on finishing. But one thing is for you to work on a finishing, like one against the goalie or no goalkeeper at all. And then the guy does 10 goals out of 10 and he gets to the game. He has 3 chances. He missed all of them. Of course, there was no pressure. You didn't, when he had the ball and said, I cannot miss this one. That's why, that's because he was not trained in that area. So you put like one defender, or in the game, he's going to have a 1v1, or there's going to be a guy recovering, not even on him, but just running out at him. Then you add a little bit pressure. Then you make more game realistic, and he's going to have to solve the problems.
Nice. Good advice. Good advice. Okay. And then, so you're coaching, you're an assistant at Barry University now. How are the training sessions at Barry different from training sessions with your PSG Academy session? Obviously, PSG Academy, you have younger kids, and Barry, like, you're playing in a short season, college season, you need to win every game. So how are the training sessions different?
It's very difficult to compare, because the dynamic is different. You know, here in America, soccer is also a business. You know, so in the PSG, like I have customers, like let's per se. There are people that go there, they pay, and they expect something out of me. So I'm more focused on delivering what people expect, according to my values and to what I believe it's the best for all of them. Sometimes parents don't agree. Sometimes they say, hey, why is my kid is just doing one-touch pass? Why can't he have the ball and try to dribble everyone? And you have to figure it out a way like, okay, I'm going to let him do that, because at the end of the day, I really need the athlete, and I need the parents to play along in this, and it's important. So I would say you have to mold yourself more to what the situation presents, and not only what you believe to be the best. During in college, if there is a player that doesn't align with what you're trying to build, and it's like, let's say, a bad apple or something, you just get rid of it. It's so much easier. So it's easier for you to force everybody to roll the same way, to go to the same target, the same object.
Interesting. Good. Okay. And then obviously Barry is a national Division II powerhouse, probably consistently one of the best teams. How would you compare the conference that Barry's playing in the Division II level to Europe to soccer in Brazil, how would you compare Division 2 Barry to the level in Brazil?
Well, I would compare like a semi-pro level. I think I believe that the coaching staff plays a big role in how good the program will be and the university will be, and we have so much talent over there, and with the recruiting process, we get players that came from that level eventually, and some players don't even perform well. Well, you know, Miami, sometimes Miami gets the best out of people. But I would say like a semi-pro, every player that didn't make it pro or have not a very good chance of making it at a good stage, I would say they fit to the university just well.
Why do internationals go to Barry instead of staying in their home country?
That's an interesting question. I would say that I can only say what we offer them to make them choose us or things like that. I feel like soccer everywhere else, if you're not, like I mentioned, especially in South America, if you're not at the top, it's going to be tough to make a living. You're going to play for, I don't know, $50 a weekend in a club barrio stuff. That's not going to make a living. It's not going to help you so much. If you come here, you get a degree. Eventually, you might get a visa. It's a roadmap to a good life. So every person who is not a risk taker or who doesn't have like the biggest self-esteem, I'm going to make it, I'm going to be the best, can fit here just well, have a good life, enjoy soccer and make it because of that, you know. Yeah, I think soccer presents a good life for people that invested in soccer for quite a while.
And so for your recruiting at Barry, for when you're trying to pick the best players,
yeah,
why does Barry have so many internationals and not that many American players?
That's interesting. First of all, it's difficult to get American players because they're not everywhere, you know, great American players, but we find it. We can find it, but usually American people, they have the college. You know, they can make it to college. They don't need soccer to present them the college. So that starts different. It's people that love soccer so much to go to a university to play soccer because they have the pathway right there. So we got to be creative. And our budget is not the biggest budget in the world, so people still need to pay for their scholarship. And it's so if an American player is going to pay for his scholarship and things like that, he might go elsewhere, and he's already used to cold weathers and things like that. So we need to be a little bit creative to say, hey, here you have a great life, like I mentioned before, and that appeals well with South American and everybody from Europe that don't like living in Europe and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. And then, because I always say, like, internationals are easier to recruit than American players, because American players, they want to go to this university where their dad went or their mum went. They want to go here close to their home. They want to go somewhere with the major, like the correct academic. Whereas for an international player, you're like, get me to America. I want to play football. I care that the team wins and we have a good coach. But other than that, I don't really care that much. I just want to go to America, good scholarship, and I'll play soccer.
Yes.
Do you find that internationals are easier to recruit than Americans?
Yes. And I think you just nailed there. I agree 100% with you. That's the appeal. You know, America, the country, helps a lot on bringing people here. I think if we were doing the same thing in, I don't want to name a place, but let's say if we're doing the same program, everything the same in Zimbabwe. I love Zimbabwe. Shout out for the Zimbabweans people. I don't think we would be as successful as we are here.
Do you think that Miami, because you're in Miami, it's easy to bring players? Yeah.
I truly believe because we are in Miami, we are able to compete with other universities, let's say Division One, that gives like a lot of scholarships and things like that. But many people, they realize they don't want to go to Illinois or a very cold weather just to play soccer. They want to be able to January be at the field, and the beach. And Miami has more than just the weather, you know. There is like a partying lifestyle.
How do you manage that? Like, you're in Miami, the players are turning 21, they're in college, they're having fun.
Yes.
How do you manage them behaving and not getting distracted?
That's impossible if it doesn't start something inside of the person. It has to be from the inside out, the feeling like I want to do something different. I want to do something really nice. I want to be I want to be a champion or things like that. Eventually, we're going to have guys that are not committed. But because I told you about the bad apples, if you get rid of one, eventually the group will understand, hey, I better do my best here to get performance, or at least to secure my place in the group. And that's it's a very harsh strategy, but it's one that works. Those two things, you either input that mentality into the players or through fear of being...
Interesting. No, I mean, you have to be like that. Geez. And then in terms of like recruiting, when you're finding players, like the audience are mostly American players, so they're always trying to figure out like, how do I get offers? Do I start senior year, junior year? So for you as Barry, how do you recruit players? Is it through agents? Is it through camps? Do you travel to showcases? How do you find your roster?
Yeah, we tried everything. Like I mentioned, we need to be creative. Everybody needs to be creative. We're not in Division One. We don't have scholarships, so we got to try as much as we can to get talent to us. If you're thinking about winning, you know that without eggs you don't make an omelette, and that's an important part, the talent of the players. So we do camps, we travel, agent plays a big part on that, you know. And also, like, because we're in Miami, the transfers, the people that are tired of living in a very cold place, even though they are playing Division One, they don't want it anymore, they can't stand it anymore. So we have like a nice opportunity over here. Maybe jump in, see how do you like Miami. That's a very nice approach for us.
So how was the transfer portal this year? Because the transfer portal this year was crazy. So how did you use that?
Yeah, we're still using it, trying to figure it out the best, you know. But you have to be lucky as well, you know, because you have to go there. You have to also realize that other people and other places has like better offers financially or things like that, even here in Florida. So you got to go there, you got to show interest, you got to convince people, and then you also have to expect not other offers to be more interesting to them. So it's really...
How do you like convince the player to come and join you? Let's say that they've got a Division 1 offer or a Division 2. Yeah. So you're saying like come to Miami, but like in terms of like trying to convince the player, do you like make sure you text them every day, make sure you call them every week, you check in, hey, how's your life, how's your mom, how's your dad? Like how do you convince players? What's your style?
We at Barry, we are a very organized structure, and we have like we are basically a professional club but a university. So we show like video images from the training session, from the practices. We show our game style, we show how we like to play, we show what we can do, we show what they can do. We talk about how the people can fit into the program and try to make them feel special. We also use a lot the appeal of, hey, do you want to live in Miami or you want to live in Chicago, and things like that, for them to take in consideration. And like for instance, now Boca Juniors, a famous South American club, will play the World Cup the Club World Cup. We'll probably practice at Barry.
Yeah.
So
Messi he's trained at Barry, Barcelona came, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So if
That
we're
sells
good enough
itself,
for
yeah,
them,
yeah.
then we're probably good enough for the college player. That's another appeal. But you gotta use all your weapons.
This is interesting because I want to talk about this because American players, they always tell me, oh, I'm talking to Barry, or I'm talking to this school, I'm talking to this school. Talking means absolutely nothing. If you're wanted by the coach, he's going to send you the video. He's going to reach out to you. He's going to make you know that you're wanted. Yeah. So like when players are like, senior year, I'm still talking to this school, like until you've got an offer, until the coach has made it look like he wants you, he probably doesn't want you, and he's offering other players. So how, let's say, because for an international player, probably you're only messaging them if you want them. But for an American player who like wants to play at Barry, how do I get you to see me? Do I email you? Do I video you? Do I have to send you my schedule of games that I'm playing in? How do I get recruited to go to Barry if I'm an American player?
Okay, yeah. There are several ways, the ways you mentioned, and not only Barry. That's for
any school. Yeah.
Any schools. If you're trying to apply to a school, you can figure out where do you want to go, and just basically go online, and all the emails from all the coaches are there at the website and things like that. You can just pick up that email and send a message and start. You got to be proactive. If you don't have an agent, life is going to be really harder for you, so you got to do it for yourself. Pick up the email, pick up the telephone if it's there, send a message, find the Instagram, talk to people, say, hey, I'm interested in the program. How can I do a tryout? And then if you have material, it makes it easier. So if you can record your games and things like that, and usually we go for the full game because the highlights,
everyone looks good in that.
Yeah, I look good in the highlight. But if you have like a full game history and things like that, so we can look like
how is the level?
Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 8 games of you playing and take a better approach, especially if you're far away. That games are all we can do, and you're not going to travel to Miami from Denmark just to try out if there is like a 30% possibility of making it. That is the important part. Figure it out how to get in touch, and there are in this era there are multiple ways, like the email, the message, the telephone, the agent, the Instagram, everything. Figure it out how to get in touch. Once you get in touch, send your material, talk about your why are you interested in your why, your reasoning, and your background as well, of course, and how good you are. Those things are going to play a big role.
Love it. Awesome. That's really good advice. Really good. So you're just repeating what I'm saying, basically, but it's good to come from a coach. And then I want to talk about agents too, because there's a lot of negative stigma around agencies from the US, like, oh, they're charging me this much to go to college, and agency, they don't know if I'm good, they just want the money.
Yeah.
Agents that you work with, why do you work with those agents?
Usually if the agent presents something good to you, that will make you come back. If everything you get from an agent is bad, eventually you're going to stop working with him. So for all the agents also, eventually you're going to have to present something good to the program, or something at least average for the program. Otherwise it's going to be a waste of time, and there is a lot of waste of time in recruiting. That's why the window is so big, because you have to go through a lot. Like, for instance, for one player you do like 8 video analysis, 8 game analysis just for one player. Imagine how much time it's going to take for you to go through 100. And if you can get an agent that has shown that he understands about soccer and he provides good players, he's not only there for the money, then it's probably one you're going to keep it.
Yeah. How important are agents at Barry? How often do you use agents?
Like all the time. Yeah. They are really important, and because we don't have such a big staff on recruiting, so we rely on those aspects that you mentioned, and agents play a big part of that.
And if you were, for example, an American player was coming to you, hey Jaques, I need to get an agent. I'm not sure which agent to use. I'm not sure to use a big agency. I'm not sure to use a small agency. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously we won't name drop, but I'm not sure about what qualities should I be looking for in an agent to help me play college soccer that the college coaches respect and trust.
Probably at his network. If you can find a way of entering, I don't know, his LinkedIn or his Instagram, and you can see his portfolio of players that he put into college and different colleges and different options, that's a good way for you to pick your agent.
Yeah, interesting. Good advice. Okay. And then in terms of like touching still on getting recruited to go and play in college, when you're looking for players, obviously good highlight video, good full game film, good level, but I'm sure that you've had really good players that you've not recruited because of grades, because of their attitude, because of just the vibe you got from them. Other than being a good player, what's important as a footballer to recruit them to go and play for you?
Yeah, we really look for technical aspects and mobility, like physical aspects. They are very important. Okay, after you pass that filter, let's say we're not gonna recruit a player that we believe to not be good and working on him. No, you gotta come here. It's already college level. You gotta come here with your things right. We can work on one thing or another. Oh, this we fix, but we're not gonna spend like 2-3 years fixing you. You have to come at least 90% ready. So you got to work on yourself. You got to work technically. You got to work physically. And those are really things that you can do by yourself. As we mentioned, you don't even need a coach. You just have to be proactive. But your question is like after that, right? And it's important to say that that's after that. The first part plays a bigger role. Like we also enjoy so much discipline, and it's important for the guy to be a team player, and especially when we pick up like videos from people, how do players react to a mistake from themselves? What do? They pick it up, they try to fix it. When a teammate makes a mistake, they open their wings and they complain, or they go there to help the team. How do they react after a goal? Are they all supporting each other and cheering? Does he has the passion? Things like that play a big role as well.
Good. Really interesting. Really good. Okay. And then I wanted to touch on your experience of coaching in jail.
Yeah.
So give us the story. What's the story?
Well, jail.
Were you in jail?
No. I spent some time over there, but they let me out. And jail, they have like special programs over there. In
Brazil or here?
No, here.
Okay.
In Brazil, I don't think they care at all. I don't know. I didn't work over there. But over here, they have like a lot of programs, like let's say garden, or how to work with, I don't know, with anything to try to re-socialize people. So over here they started a program that is really famous in England, that they imported. So to try to give tools for people that are about to leave jail and to not coming back right away, or things like that. And in those programs, I worked for Miami FC, and they got hired to run the program, and they invited me to go there. So I had to go to a maximum security jail. Wow. And to run a program, trying to teach.
Was it scary? Or?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it is scary, and you go through a lot of scenarios that you start thinking like, what am I doing here? Is am I doing good? Because you're not going to get involved just for the money. You need to have something inside of you, like I want to do good. I want to do better. I want society, humanity, community, everything to do better. How can I contribute? And that was something that I decided. My wife was supportive, and I decided to go and try to change, try to impact a life one at a time and things like that. So we started the program. I was in the first and second group here in the US, and we had to teach the inmates how to become coaches, and most of them don't even like soccer, so you have to find a way to give them tools that they are going to use not only in soccer, maybe in basketball, maybe in life especially, and eventually you're gonna have to teach them how to deal with conflicts. And
so someone listening to that would be like, well, you walked into a jail, maximum security prison. Was there like fights going on? Was there gangs, and you just had to stand in the middle of the jail and give a session? Like what was going through your head? What was like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I even thought about running like a Netflix special out of that. They have so many shows out of jail, right? You know, but yeah, it was scary. Basically, we went in, and from the moment we go inside until the moment we enter the classroom, we're completely alone. So you're walking in jail, and you have to walk, I don't know, a mile to get from one.
Is that big?
Yeah, it's, I don't know if a mile, maybe half a mile.
A long way. Yeah.
A long way. Yeah, it takes like 15 minutes walking. Not that bad.
You were alone or with the guard?
You're alone, no guards, no. And there are inmates passing you all around, and eventually you start to feeling a bit scared in the beginning, but after a while you started, no, things are fine. But of course, you're dealing with people that have not much to lose, you know, people that are there and they're not coming out, so things like that. And there are fights. We've been through quite a few. Many inmates didn't end the project because of fights, because of stabs, and because of bad behaviors as well. You gotta deal with those things a lot.
Right. But how was the overall experience? Was it rewarding? Do you feel like you made a difference?
I like to think so. I truly like to think so. In the end, they gave me like a huge banner. They all signed. They put like a message to me, and all those messages, they almost made me cry, you know.
Oh, that's nice.
But they didn't. And it was a pleasant ending for all those programs and things like that. And you can see like sometimes every once in a while, it's not regular, you see like, how come this person is in here? And why is he different from me? He's just a person that maybe had a little less luck in life and went through a tough moment and did some bad choices, but they are not really that bad. Yeah. And it's hard for me to know. I work with people, but it's still hard for me to know, are they acting? Are they not acting? Because when the guard is there, everything is easier. They all behave and things like that. But there was situations like a guy asking me to take things inside the prison for him and things that would help him, and like or send a letter and start working for him. And there was a very scary moment. We ended with a huge scrimmage between the first class and the second class.
They wear shin pads, shin guards.
They wore cleats. That's already a lot.
Oof.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, we're going to win, very competitive. We're going to win. No, we're going to win. So you start like, hey, remember, it's just a game, and things like that. And when I turned around, there was like 100 people, 100 inmates surrounding me. Like one guard was like 300 yards from me, and it was a female guard, very good female guard. But
still 100 guys.
Yeah, you start wondering, you know, like, okay, how long will you do this to help people?
You were just watching like 100 or a scrimmage and there was 100 fans?
Yeah, like I was running the project, so I was
That's
the
scary.
referee. Yeah, I was alone. I was running the project. I was the referee, and sometimes people get a little bit upset with
Yeah,
the
of course.
referee. You know.
Oh, you were the referee.
Yeah, I
Even worse.
was the referee from the game because we needed one. We have to end it and things like that. So there was like 22 guys inside, another 80 guys surrounding. They're all cheering and doing things that happens a lot in South America and things like that. And I was like, okay.
That's crazy. Wow, that's really rewarding. That's really rewarding. I wanted to touch too on, not really related with the jail scenario, but you mentioned about like they're just normal people and they got lucky, or they didn't get lucky.
A few of them.
And I want to talk about this because it's something that I always say to the players, like the harder you work, the luckier you get. Like, yes, people always complain like, oh, he got the offer because his dad is the coach, or he got the offer because he has an agent, or he got the offer because of this. But no one really cares. Like, he got the offer and you didn't. But you don't see that the players that get the offers are the ones sending the most emails, going to the most camps, working the hardest, going to the gym the most, not partying. How, and you obviously are a youth soccer coach, so you probably instill the same thing in your kids, but how important is hard work and luck?
How?
What's the relationship between
yeah.
hard work and luck?
I loved what you just said, and I agree 100%. The more I work, the luckier I get, you know, things like that. And you got to be ready when opportunity comes. But I like a saying that says that if you're a good person and you work hard, good things will come your way. Just wait. Keep working hard, you know. And some people are really good at making excuses. Those things are not going to take you anywhere, you know. Nobody cares, brother. Work harder. Just go there, get the work done. Eventually, things are going your way. And like I said, be proactive as well. Sometimes you feel like the work is only this, but there's so much out of the work, like getting an email, which anybody can do, but who really does it? And that guy does it, and the other guy is making excuses. If life closes a door, it opens a window, you know, those things. But you have to take accountability on what happens in your life. If you just keep waiting for luck to show up, probably you die waiting, you know. Make things happen. Towards your effort one way, towards all your efforts one way, if it is what you really love. And chances are you're going to make it.
Yeah.
You know?
Love that advice. Awesome. And then my last question for you, Jaques, would be because our audience is American, right? But not just American players. For a youth soccer player that's 15, 16, that isn't sure whether they want to go to college, they're not sure if they want to go pro, they're not sure if they want to take soccer seriously, they're just a bit lost, and they need some advice, or they need to figure out what's next. What advice do you give to that player?
Well, aren't we all lost a little bit? You know, it's life is tough, and at that age, it's very easy for you to lose focus or something like that. I know 30-year-old people that don't know where they're going. And if you don't know where you're going, any pathway, it's good enough, you know, because you don't have a target, you don't have. So maybe figure it out where you want to be 5 years from now. Go there, take a look. How is that? Do you like that? Would you like to participate on those things? Is that what you want? Once you figure it out where you want to be, it's easier for you to make a roadmap backwards, you know. Okay, I want to get there. If I want to get there, how can I get there? Oh, first I need this. Okay, I need this, but to get this, I need this. And to get this, I need to do this first. And then you get a roadmap of everything you need to do. Of course, hard work is important in every single scenario. Anywhere you're going, there are things, if you want to be a player, either college or a pro, or things you're going to have to work hard either way. There are some things that you're going to have to work no matter what. But for you to figure out what you're going to do, it's one of the most important things in life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, think about what you want to do, what options you might have, and figure out a strategy and a plan. That's like, for me, I always get very overwhelmed when I'm thinking about what's down the line, but I don't have a plan. But if you have a plan and you know what you can control and take care of, it's always a lot easier for me to be like, okay, if I want to get there, I need to do this. And I feel like a lot of players, they say they want to play college soccer, but they don't have a roadmap and a plan. They don't have an agent. They don't have a mentor. Their parents don't know what to do. They don't know if they want to play D1, D2, D3. They don't know if they want to go to school in North Carolina, in California, in Florida.
Yeah.
They don't know if they want to go to a big school, small school. But having a strategy and having a plan like, okay, I want to get to here and I'm going to do this, and that's how I'm going to get there, you know?
Yeah, it's important for you to figure out what you want to do, because most people want to play college. Do they? Do they really? Because in life, you cannot have everything. So if you want to go, you're probably going to have to sacrifice a little bit here and there, you know. So you have to really want it, you know. I want to play college, but I also want to go out and to party and to go to the nice places and to have very good food and to have. You cannot have everything in life, you know. You got to figure it out something, and you got to take away everything that is stopping you from getting there, and then you really know you want it. You know, because if you want it, it's going to be really easier for you to get it.
Yeah, love that. That's such good advice, Jaques. Guys, if you're listening this far in the podcast, message Jaques on Instagram. Say what you enjoyed about the podcast, what you learned. That was a really good episode. I'm really glad we did that.
You stay out of jail.
Stay out of jail. Don't eat nice foods. But guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.